I'm back. Welcome, friends. Tune in to the session. My name is Anna Maria. I will be your co-pilot today. Well, we have many co-pilots in the session. But we do have one pilot though, and he's a skilled one, I've heard. Welcome to Scenes in Scenes, which is a 24-hour learning festival. We celebrate the launch of Butter Scenes on Product Hunt. I'll pop that link in the chat in a second. It's a day that we filled with live workshops and interactive presentations with over 40 top experts, facilitation, learning, collaboration, community, innovation, startups. Everything's on the menu today. They're coming from across the globe, and we're celebrating 24 hours around the clock. We are recording the session, so if it feels better for you, more comfortable, feel free to keep your camera off. If you like to enjoy the show, keep your camera on, and let's get the party started. Here we have our product hunt page. If you want to show some...
You've muted yourself.
I think you accidentally muted.
All right, I have accidentally somehow, I don't know, muted myself. But what I was saying is that the master of ceremony today is none other than Jonathan Courtney. There we go. An Ireland native, co-founder of Adrian Smart, a digital product design agency in Berlin. I guess we're all familiar with their work. He is a self-proclaimed nerdy-looking guy with a remarkable story about how he nearly called it quits to find his focus. I wonder if he's going to share that story with us today.
What was the thing? What was the last thing you just said? I missed it because I was listening to the music.
A remarkable story about how you nearly called it quits to find your focus.
Oh. It's like every day of my life.
And I'm putting the links to the scenes for everyone to join us there.
Cool. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Jonathan, and I think I've got around 30 minutes today to give you as like sort of an info dump on all of the most up-to-date facilitation stuff that we're seeing in the industry. My name is, so basically a tiny bit about myself and my company. We are a company called, AJ and Smart. We've actually put all of our facilitation stuff under a new brand called facilitator.com. Myself and my team travel the world. We've been traveling the world for the last 14 years, either facilitating or teaching facilitation. We teach all of the biggest companies in the world, employees at all of the biggest companies in the world, how to facilitate meetings and sessions. And we also teach individuals how to do facilitation through online courses or in-person training. And I think that is all to say that just myself and my team are almost like a research and development department that works full-time on figuring out how to make our facilitation, how to make the facilitators we teach better at what they do and more robust at what they do, so that they can solve the problems that people have. And I think today, my general vibe and what I want to get across are the newest things, the things that we have only really figured out in the last maybe 12 to 18 months when it comes to facilitation. And I would say it's the difference between a facilitator that has a high day rate. That's just an easy way to measure it. It's someone who actually is able to make it their full-time career versus a facilitator who's not really able to make it their career and it doesn't get booked that often. Because at AJ and Smart, we hire out facilitators to companies. So we have like this hire a facilitator thing. So we'll either hire out our own facilitators internally at AJ and Smart, or we work with a few partner facilitators. And we've been able to see the patterns that build up of facilitators who are booked very often and clients are happy with, or facilitators who are not really booked very often and clients give negative feedback to. And I think that's, I'm going to be able to give you some behind the scenes of that. Before that, maybe we can do a little exercise. I think, my team has put together some stuff here. I'd love to just, I I can just hear someone talking, by the way. I don't know if someone's talking in the background. Okay. So just stick all you got to do right now is just tell me where you're at, whether you're just starting out or whether you're a seasoned facilitator, just to give me a feeling for who I'm speaking to right now. Okay. Great. When I say seasoned facilitator, I just mean that's kind of your job. That's how you make money and you're doing it regularly for real clients. I don't mean that you've been learning about it for a long time. It's more like the experience itself. Wow, this is okay. So literally every possible. Great. All right, cool. And let's ask another question. What do you think the main job of a facilitator is? It can be a little, yeah, you'll find the little add note thing on the bottom there. What do you think the main job? What do you think the main thing you're going to be doing as a facilitator? All right. Great answers here. Bring people together so they can align, guiding people towards outcomes. Okay. Holding the space. So Corey, I can't see exactly if it says Corey, Cori. You've hit on something that I think that we've started to feel at AJ and Smart is the real role of a facilitator. And it is to just make things easier for the client. Facilitation is not about productivity, although that's part of it. It's not the core. Facilitation is about making things easier for groups and making things easier. Yeah, you've also, Rudy also wrote it, making people's work life easier. Let me tell you what I think a facilitator's entire purpose is. Groups, when they come together to collaborate, to get things done, when someone joins a company, they're like super excited. I'm going to be a designer. I'm going to be a project manager. I'm going to be a developer. But what actually do they end up doing when they join a company? Do they end up doing their design work? Do they end up doing their best work? Or do they end up sitting around in meetings, arguing, hating their lives, and then saying, nothing gets done around here? Usually it's the latter part of that. Whenever I used to join a company when I was younger, yeah, they're doing the work around the work. They're trying to figure out how the fuck do we even just do anything here? We just talk about things. We're just always misaligned. And the role of a facilitator is to come in and to remove the burden of all of that pointless, messy collaboration and group dynamics, which you haven't been trained to do. These employees have not been trained in group dynamics. They've been trained in the specific skill that they've been, joined the company to do. And now they're being asked to do, when you're thrown into a meeting without a facilitator, these people are essentially being asked to do an extremely super complex and difficult thing to do, which is navigate group dynamics and figure out how to get, 5 people's information out of their head and turn that into a decision. And and this is, we say at AJ and Smart, you as the facilitator, you're taking the burden from the group. You're taking all of that messiness. You're taking all of that sort of chaotic energy. Great, session has ended. Beautiful. Goodbye, everybody. You're taking all of that chaotic energy and you're acting as like the filter. We're making these AI images as bad as possible as a joke, by the way, just in case you think we think this is a good image. We're thinking, we treat ourselves almost like, we're like those Brita filters that filters water. You have the dirty water going in and the clean water coming out the other side. You as a facilitator are taking all of that mess, all of that chaos, and filtering it out the other side as clean information that people can actually use. And that makes people's lives easier. Your job as a facilitator is to make people's lives easier, to remove the burden of collaboration, to remove the burden of group dynamics, so they can do what they are actually paid to do, so they can do the thing that they were excited about doing when they left college and went into a company. Instead of them sitting around fucking hating their lives, you can come in and actually make that better. Now, most facilitation training and most facilitation literature speaks about the sort of cold and hard facts about productivity and about, making collaboration better. And of course, we do this at AJ and Smart as well when we're selling it to clients. But the truth is, if you want to be called back to a company, if you want to be a facilitator that's regularly booked, even if you run the most productive sessions on the planet and people still hated it and people still found it stressful, they won't necessarily want to have you back. And so facilitators that get booked the most often at AJ and Smart are the ones who not only understand, yes, this team needs an outcome, but they also understand this team needs to be unburdened of the messiness of collaboration so they can be creative, so that they can have fun, so that they can actually not have to figure out, should this person talk first? And like, what did we talk about 1 hour ago? Or, we've got all of these different tensions between employees. We've got all this different, stresses happening behind the scenes in people's personal lives. If the facilitator can come in and unburden people of that chaotic collaboration and just let them do what they're actually paid to do, let them do what they're actually passionate about, you'll be called back. You'll be a facilitator that people want to work with. And that's one of the big kind of aha moments we've had in the last 18 months at AJ and Smart. It's not about obsessively designing workshops. It's not about being super technical and learning like all of this, okay, so we've got these conflict management skills and et cetera, et cetera. It's actually just about treating the people in the room as humans, and understanding that your job in that room is to make their lives easier. And you can really see the difference between a facilitator who obsesses about productivity and a facilitator who tries to help people do this unburdening. When you look at a facilitator who's obsessed with productivity is almost like a military boot camp runner. They're like, okay, we've got 5 minutes to do this. Okay, great. Now we've got 10 minutes to do this exercise. Great. Okay, we're moving on. No, we need to move on. We need to move on. No, we need to do this. No, we need to do this. It's almost like they're an instructor. They're a boot camp instructor. They're telling people what to do. They're making people feel stressed. Yes, maybe they get the productive outcome at the end, but these people won't want to work with you again. They won't want to call you again. And by the way, they won't even know why they don't want to work with you again. It's a feeling. People remember how they feel after an event, or how they feel after a moment, or watching a movie, or going to Disneyland, whatever it is. They don't remember the individual outcomes of something. They just remember how you made them feel. And so if you are the type of facilitator that's overplanned, that's like a boot camp instructor, you'll end up making people feel stressed, even if you make them feel productive. And this brings me to this other thing, that many facilitators, they create this level of stress for a team because they themselves are so rigid about what they do. We have to run a design sprint. We have to run LDJ. We have to do it like this. We have to go through my plan as a facilitator. And if my plan doesn't go to plan, then I'll fucking go crazy. And I'm going to be annoyed, and I'm going to be stressed, and I'm going to give all of you my annoyance and stress. And a really common way we see this at AJ and Smart is we'll send a facilitator to a client's office, and then I get a call, and the facilitator's like, Jonathan, only 4 of the 5 people from the client turned up because one of them was sick. We're going to have to reschedule the whole thing. And I'm like unexpected things happening is part of being a facilitator. And they're like, yeah, but somebody joined at 2 p.m. and that's not allowed. Like, that's not part of the plan. We're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, there's nothing. Our job as facilitators is to make these people's lives easier, help them get to their result. They're going to get to the result with or without facilitators. Our job is to help them get to that result in a way that feels easy, feels pleasant, and doesn't feel like they're getting beaten through some sort of boot camp. And your energy as a facilitator will completely determine the energy of the group. I ran a training. Some of you are, I noticed that a lot of you in this event right now are from our community, which is great to see you guys. A couple of you might have been at a training that I ran 2 weeks ago. So we run this in-person facilitation training. This is not a sales pitch, but yes, you should buy it. It's called Full Stack Facilitator. It's our most intense in-person training. And we have 30 people, and you're switching teams every day, and we switch facilitators like every 30 minutes almost. And the craziest thing that it's unbelievable to watch this. I will have a team, and someone will be selected as the facilitator, and I'll have them do an exercise. And it will be the most zen, beautiful experience you've ever seen in your life. It's quiet, people are laughing, and they still get everything done. And then on that same team, I'll now switch it to a different facilitator, and they fucking hate each other immediately. And you often see the same people every day. I'm like, okay, now this person's at this table, and now everyone at that table hates each other. And now we move this person to this table, and now everybody at that table hates each other. Your energy as a facilitator 100% determines the energy of the group you're working with. So if you come in as a bootcamp instructor, like gripping violently to the exercises that have to be achieved, the team will also feel that energy from you, and that energy will be reflected back and create a feedback loop, and you're going to have a grumpy, annoyed, stressed out team. And one of the big things we teach, the thing that we're teaching right now is called ECS. It's called Emergent Collaboration System. But one of the big parts of emergent facilitation, we didn't invent emergent facilitation. Emergent facilitation is just a style of facilitation. It's about understanding that the group that you're working with will completely determine what's actually going to happen in the day. You can come in with a broad idea of a workshop that you want to run, but you don't have a fucking clue what the vibe is going to be until you're there. And that's the type of facilitator you need to be. You need to be a facilitator that can turn up to any session, any group of people, and you already know in advance that things are going to go wrong, that you don't know the vibe, that stuff could go weird in the room. I was telling a story 2 weeks ago. Yeah, an ECS facilitator is chill. They wear sunglasses all the time. I should have gotten my sunglasses. I have no sunglasses here. They wear sunglasses all the time. But an ECS facilitator is someone who's flexible, who's most importantly optimistic when things start to feel like they're going wrong. The ECS facilitator isn't like, oh my God, this is all going good. Guys, this is fucked up. Listen to me, guys. I'm going to tell you one of the most important things that I've learned in the last 18 months. If you go to a client and they're a chaotic team, and you tell them, oh my God, you guys are just such a chaotic team. Like, I see why nothing gets done around here. Then you are a facilitator with a bad bedside manner. And bad bedside manner is something people say about doctors. You can have a doctor, let's say, yeah, exactly. This is a true story. I'm sorry this image is so horrifying, but I go to the dentist a lot because I'm Irish and my teeth are fucked up. And I recently had to change dentists because my dentist, every time I went to her, she was just like, oh God, your teeth are so bad. Like, this is not good. Like, I'm like, next week, it's not going to be fun. It's going to be a full hour. And, if you don't like this is just like, she kind of would always point out how bad my situation was. So I decided I'm going to go to a new dentist who's like better with anxious patients. And honestly, even though she has to do the exact same amount of drilling and exact same amount of pain, this dentist, she tells me, yeah, other people have this too. It's really common. Like, that's something that I do every day. It's fine. And I just trust her so much more, and I feel so much better about myself. But facilitators, and I've seen this at AJ and Smart, and it's something we obviously we design to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. Facilitators that go into clients' offices and tell them, oh my God, this is one of the most chaotic places I've ever been. And like, joining in on the negative energy. Every person who works at a company thinks their company is the worst place to work in terms of collaboration. Every person at a company thinks nothing ever gets done at their place. Every single corporate that I've embedded myself in, because that's something sometimes we do, we'll go work for a company for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Every single person's like, Jonathan, nothing ever gets done around here. And in the past, when I was an amateur facilitator, I would say, oh my God, yeah, you're right. I can't believe things take so long around here. And now what I say is, this is really normal. This is something that's completely common. You'll see this in every company. You guys are not broken. And it's not about fixing the entire business here. We don't need to do that. All we need to do is empower this team so that we can just enjoy our work more and get more done and not get so stuck so often. And this is our ECS mindset, the thing that we focus on a lot when we're teaching facilitators. We call it the unshakable facilitator. And it's the facilitator that goes into a room, they're optimistic, they're telling the team, we can get this done. Don't worry about it. We can make this happen. They're adaptable. They can change things on the fly. If they're running a design sprint and it doesn't make sense, who gives a fuck? Do something different. Go for a walk with the team. It doesn't matter. They're aware of the energy of the group. They're aware of the physical environment that they're in, so that if it's too dark or too loud, they can change things. This is the type of facilitator that in the going forward is going to be the only thing that can also compete with AI. I mean, any AI future facilitator can tell people what exercises to do. Telling people what exercises to do is not facilitation. That's giving instructions. Being a facilitator is everything in between all of those things. And AJ and Smart, I mean, I'll be the first to admit that we as a company, we started out thinking that everything was about exercises because that was how we learned how to do things at AJ and Smart. We didn't start facilitation as facilitators. We started facilitating as designers who were learning workshops because we needed something to fix the collaboration with our clients. And then we were like, oh, wow, if we do a bit more of this, it gets better. If we did a bit more of this, it gets better. And so we eventually over time started to design an internal system which just fit with all. We were looking for like, what's a first principles foundation underneath all of these other different types of things we're seeing and all of these other different types of things we're doing. And that's what our emergent collaboration system is. You can find it on our website. If you go to facilitator.com, scroll down, there'll be a section which says, and you can just click into it and you can learn more about it. We're going to like open source all of this information soon. It's just that it takes very long to record all of the videos that it takes to actually explain all of this stuff, because currently it takes me 5 full days, 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m. to teach this. And so if you think about that, like that's a lot of YouTube videos. So this is also our newest thing. It's just not out there in the market. So for me, the biggest takeaway I want you to have today from this session is great, learn the exercises. Great, learn the techniques. These are the baseline things you're going to need to have to be a facilitator. Great. Do those things. You can find all of those things on YouTube for free everywhere. There's also some great books out there. I'm sure people can post them in the chat. Learn that stuff so you have a baseline. But there's going to be a point where you need to move from being a good facilitator to a great facilitator. And all of that is going to be in your head. All of that is going to be the energy you give off. All of that is going to be your ability to be adaptable and to change things on the fly based on the situation. And that is the difference between me being able to send. So there are facilitators at AJ and Smart. I can send them to a huge corporate. I can send them to a startup. I can send them to a government office. I can send them to any situation because they know the first principles of collaboration. They know how to deal with anything. And then there are facilitators at AJ and Smart who have not yet learned this. And I can basically send them to very specific types of things, which is totally fine as well. Like there are people at AJ and Smart who are specialized in running design sprints, for example, but I wouldn't send them to a company retreat to run that. It just probably would backfire horribly. And so that's what I'm trying to get my team at AJ and Smart to this level, and the people we're teaching to this level, where you're completely flexible. where you're adaptable to any situation, and where you're not obsessively needing to stick to the plan because there is no plan. The plan is just a let's see what actually happens when I turn up. I'm going to be able to deal with it. I'm going to be able to help this team get to where they need to go. And believe me, if you come into companies with that attitude, they'll want you back over and over and over again, because they're going to be like, you know what? Whenever Jonathan is in the room, everything just feels so much easier. Whenever Jonathan's in the room, people are fighting less. Whenever Jonathan's in the room, we still get a lot done, but it just doesn't feel painful. But whenever I'm just going to use Amer, who's on here as a negative example, even though Amer is a great facilitator. Whenever Amer is in the room, it's really tense. Whenever Amer's in the room, we still get everything done, but like shit just gets kind of dark. I don't know. This guy just is really, he's really like uptight about keeping us on time, but like somehow it's really cool. Let's decide, like, let's just get Jonathan to do the team retreat, because that will probably be, we'll be able to change our minds on day 2 and he'll be fine with that. Whereas Amer will probably scald us and tell us we're doing that will break the facilitation system. Amer, you're great, by the way. And you're not like that. But I didn't want to just insult a random member of the panel. And guys, that's it. That's all I could talk here for hours about this stuff. That's all I want to say today. I'm more than happy to do a Q&A. I don't know what the timing is here. I'm happy to stay as long as you guys want, but for me, that's the big thing I want to get across. Oh my God, look how this is such a realistic. This is a photo. This is a real photo, guys. This is a 100% real photo. And if you guys don't believe it, you're scumbags. All right. My team can decide whether we do Q&A or whatever. I'm up for anything.
I think we should.
Yeah. How do you
Yeah.
want to do it? Just this?
Yeah.
Using this thing? All right, cool. I'll answer whatever. I'll answer whatever you guys want. Oh shit. Sorry. I need to tell you guys, if you're interested in learning more about ECS for free, go join our free community. You're probably already all in it, just judging by the names here. But we have a free community. Maybe Amer, you can skip to that slide for just 1 second. And there we do free calls. We're going to be adding like maybe free calls every week from next week. If you're not in that community, it's a great place to just meet other facilitators, hang out, and ask us questions. And yeah, we had for example, was that yesterday or the day before yesterday? I did like a 1.5 hour call. How long does it take to be approved? I don't know, actually, Ali. Ryan,
Like very fast.
Very fast. Okay. Yeah, if you fill out the thing, because we have to make sure that it's not like scammers coming into that community, because a lot of scammers come through this like system. And so yeah, we just ask a few questions. So yeah, it should be same day. Okay, yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer whatever you guys want. I'm delighted to answer it. We should create our house of horror together. If no one has questions, it's also fine. Oh, someone's typing. I'm also, oh
I
yeah,
love this feature. This feature is really, really nice.
this Q&A feature.
Yeah, though I love when you spotlight the question and it comes right up to the screen. We'll show you in a second how it works, but I really like this.
Okay, I'll just answer the first question that's appeared. From good to great facilitator, how much is this? Okay, so this is about self-awareness, meaning you've done the work on yourself, I can't read it actually, unless it's in the other mode. So turning your insecurities and strengths, exploring your dark and blind spots. Okay, this is difficult. It's very difficult to know what your blind spots are, because nobody will tell you what your blind spots are. Because especially these days, especially if you work at a company, no one wants to get in trouble by saying you're bad at something. Nobody wants to get called in by HR and saying, oh, you said like person is really bad at this thing. And so there's actually no incentive for anybody to ever tell you what you're doing wrong, or what you're doing, like what you could do better. And so it is what I do personally is I have a lot of different coaches for different things. For example, I've been to vocal training coaches. I've been to presentation coaches. I go to things where I have the feeling I can get different types of feedback. I also have different mentors who help me with things. I have different business coaches. I go to therapy. I do loads of shit. And a lot of the times, these people will just say stuff to me. Running a company, obviously, for me is a great way to learn out all the bad things about me because employees are great. Employees can tell bosses things they don't like, but usually people don't tell each other stuff. So if you're running a team, people will always tell you the stuff they don't like all the time. So I'm lucky in that way that people will tell me, yeah, Jonathan, when you're speaking, it seems like you're not actually, or when I'm telling you stuff, it seems like you're not actually listening to me. That's a common piece of information that people tell me. So yeah, I think you do have to go hunting for it because nobody will tell you anything because they'll be scared. A really big one, I'll tell you a really big common thing that a lot of people have a problem with. A lot of people are really bad at projecting their voice, meaning a lot of facilitators are too quiet when they're in a session and they don't get rebooked and nobody tells them. Nobody will tell them. Why? Because who the hell is going to tell you, hey, your voice is too quiet? Because what if you say back to them, well, that's just my voice and you're discriminating me? Then they're fucked. They're not going to tell you anything. So you have to be. How much coffee did I have today, Jonathan? I actually only had one coffee. I'm just very excited about this topic. I'm an excitable person, guys. Especially when I'm live like this, I'm very excited. So yeah, I think that you have to do this hunting to get that type of feedback. No one will really tell you unless they feel super safe to tell you. But in most cases, you have to be careful. Okay, how to change or transform the energy you transmit. How do you change that in a facilitator? Dario, this is an amazing question. It's such a big topic. I wish I had another 2 hours. Actually, no one's ever asked me this question before. This is a really great conversation. Dario, thank you for asking this question. I'm just going to keep saying things like this so that I can avoid answering it. You know how politicians do? They just keep talking and not answer the question. That's what I'm going to do right now because I don't have the answer. No, I think that what you give is what you get in life, energy-wise. And so one of the easiest ways to tell the energy you're transmitting is by the energy that people give back to you. If you're in a session and people are grumpy and cynical and pushing back on you, maybe you are also someone who gives off that energy. A great way to, there's actually, one of my mentors told me this, which I thought was really powerful. When I was doing sales calls, I was like, these people are so skeptical. Like they always want a discount. Like they're always like really, skeptical about this and this and this. And they have so many questions. And my mentor asked me, Jonathan, when you're buying a product, do you also ask like 1,000 questions? Do you also get really skeptical? Are you also like comparing a million things? Are you also asking for like 3 different calls? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, you give off this exact skeptical energy and you're receiving it because you give it. And so for me, I think the only answer I can really give this, I don't know how to transform the energy you transmit, but I do know that your life results are general. Like, for example, in your life, do you have a lot of conflict with people? Because I don't, for example. But a lot of people have a lot of conflict with other people. And they don't realize that the reason they have a lot of conflict with other people is because they are a person who gives off that energy of conflict. Or in your life, do people are people really open and friendly around you? Are people really excited to meet you? That's often because you're giving off that type of energy. When I do in-person events, especially like large scale free in-person events, sometimes someone will come up to me and they'll be so suspicious and so like weird and like dark almost. And they're like, so yeah, like, yeah, I tried it, but that doesn't work in every situation and this and that and that. I'm like, wow, I can already tell that you're the type of person who gets a lot of refunds from clients, who has a lot of arguments with clients, who has a lot of tension with clients. And it's because of the energy you give off. So the only thing I can say is it's your job as a facilitator to understand the energy you're giving off. So you're going to have to become more aware of the energy that people give to you, because that's going to be probably the energy you're giving off to people. That's all I can say to it. I'd love to go into like a full-on 2-hour discussion about that topic where we open everyone's mic and talk about it, but I guess it probably wouldn't be valuable. Let's do another. The butter team can tell me how many more questions I can take, because I would happily go all day. By the way, I'm drinking still water. It's not an energy drink. Oh, sorry. How do you facilitate a group when they think you're the expert and have the answers? So we call this the difference between being the guide and being the hero. When you're a facilitator, if you're doing like, real proper sticking to the thing facilitation, the goal is to not give your opinion on the results. However, I am a designer. And so sometimes if a client hires us and the topic is design related, I have to tell them up front, guys, I'm here to bring you through this process. I'm not here as a designer. However, there might be moments where it's appropriate for me to jump in as a designer. And in those times, we'll do exercises to make sure that doesn't end up being me telling you what to do. So it's the difference between being a consultant and a facilitator. If you become a facilitator who works in a lot of industry, we just call it a cross-industry facilitator. That's what I am. I work in so many different industries, nobody even thinks this anymore. So like when I go to like a medical device industry, they know I don't know anything about medical devices. If I'm helping a government entity on something, they know I don't know anything about it. And so eventually, as you do more facilitation and as you position yourself as a guide, this will become less of an issue. However, if you used to be a consultant for a client and now you want to facilitate, you're going to have to help them bridge that gap and help them understand, why is it valuable for you to not be part of the discussions? And why is it valuable for you to not be a consultant? Well, it's because the team will now be empowered to come up with ideas, and the team will be more bought in on the decision, and it won't just be Shirley's ideas taking over. So it's a very big topic, but for new clients, it's about telling them, I'm going to be the guide. I'm not coming as a consultant. And here's why that's valuable. For old clients, there will be a bridging process. Jonathan, building medical devices. You do not want that. You do not want to see the probe that I've designed.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yeah?
Hello there.
Hello.
Can I do a follow-up question?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, because I think that it's interesting, this role as guide, but at the same time, earlier you said about taking off the shoulders of people the worries about the process so they can focus on being good at what they're good at. But I think when you leave them, for example, to take ownership on decisions, ownership on the process, that's the heavy part in most cases.
The process.
And that's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable for the participants. And I agree with you about the feeling they get at the end that might be projected towards you as facilitator. In a way, you are the scapegoat in many cases. And so how you do that, because it's very easy to give the answer, to support them to get to a place where they feel comfortable and happy with the final outcome. But at the end, actually, I did half of the work for them.
My job as a facilitator is not to be a consultant and give teams the answer. My job is to help them to go through the process, help them to sequence the conversation, to visualize the conversation so that they can have the burden of all of this collaboration stuff taken off their shoulders, so they can use the strain and frustration and mental energy on solving the actual problems. So let's say it's a team that has to design a new product. I would rather them use all of their brain energy on arguing and debating the product feature itself and the design, and use none of that energy on who should talk next. And so my job as a facilitator is to remove the burden of the pointless stuff that they shouldn't be dealing with, so that they can do the stuff they were paid to do. Think about me going into a company like Facebook where everyone is getting paid a lot of money. I don't want a $450,000 per year employee trying to remember what someone said 2 hours ago so that they can make a smart decision. I can help them remember that by visualizing it. And even if I have the answer to the questions, I'd rather focus all my energy on letting them come to the answers, because they work at the company and I'm just coming in out of nowhere. Now, the caveat to this is if you've been working with this client for years, or if you're working internally at that company, then there's nuance. And then you might say, hey, now, like, this is what happens very often. Guys, do you mind if I move out of the facilitator role for a minute and talk about and give you my opinion? So you can take off the facilitator hat and put on the consultant hat. You just have to do it consciously and not be jumping in the whole time. Because if you place yourself as the hero, yes, you might give them the answers and you might make it easier for them in the short term, but long term, you're not empowering that team to make their own decisions, and they won't feel good after it. They won't feel like they've accomplished anything. It would be like if Gandalf took the ring at the start of the Lord of the Rings and just brought it straight to the fire at the end, instead of giving Frodo the opportunity to actually grow up and go through all of the different trials and tribulations. Your job is not just to get them to a productive answer. Your job is to bring them through a journey and give them back the confidence that they can actually get shit done. It's a bit of a long answer. Did that kind of help?
Yes, yes. I noticed that I used to be only in the facilitator hat, and sometimes, and I completely agree with you about being conscious, being explicit about the switching roles, when and why you're doing that. I become more effective,
yes,
for the group if you do it well.
I can be so much more effective when I'm sticking to my role. By the way, facilitation at a high level is so hard. Like, that's why I talk about high day rate versus low day rate. If someone's paying you $200 to facilitate, then maybe you can switch between whatever. When you're at the high level, when you're at C-level helping a team on their leadership retreat, and they're paying you like $35K for the 2 days, you can't think about anything else. You're just like obsessively making sure this thing goes perfectly from like, the start of the first day to the end of the second or third day. And so for me, I really try to stay in my facilitator role just for my own sanity. Are we being kicked out?
Yes.
All right, guys.
We can finish.
We do free calls every week in Facilitator Club if you want to talk more about this stuff. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. Thank you so much, Butter, for hosting the session with their great new tool. My team has been playing around with Scenes and really excited about using it with our clients. What we think Scenes is useful for, by the way, maybe this is a good thing for us to mention. And I don't know if Butter sells it like this, but it was my team talked about it. It's a Trojan horse. Like, not every client wants to jump into Miro and do a hardcore workshop, right? Scenes, and by the way, Butter is giving me no money for saying any of this. We do not have any affiliate shit or anything. This is purely just my opinion on this and my team's opinion. This is a great Trojan horse for getting clients into doing facilitated sessions, because it looks like, a normal like Microsoft presentation, but it has all of this interactive stuff in it. So I think it can be a nice Trojan horse for getting teams into doing this, especially if you're doing a remote session. I think Miro can be a little bit overwhelming for teams, especially if you're just doing a session that doesn't need a billion post-its or something. And now I would like to ask Butter to give me money for that shit. Give me money for that shit. Ba, 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 ba.
Thank you so much, Jonathan and team, for holding the space for us to nerd out on facilitation and skills and all the things and shift and changes that we can do in our brains first, in our mindset, and then in the way we show up as facilitators. This was awesome.
Thank you,
Join
Cheska.
the Facilitators Club community. Thank you,
Thank
Cheska.
you. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Can you
you.
send me that money later, yeah?
All the workshops, money's
Already
being
on its way.
wired.
See you later.
Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and see you in the other sessions. Take care.
See y'all. Bye. Bye-bye.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.